The Nobel Prize for Literature has been awarded to the South Korean author Kang.
Her work is really part of a grand South Korean tradition. My colleagues described her as the South Korean female Hemingway.
안녕하세요, 원다입니다. 한국 문학의 위대한 성취, 한강 작가의 노벨문학상 수상 소식은 세계 유수의 언론에서도 뜨거운 관심을 집중하고 있습니다. 주요 외신들은 한강의 노벨문학상 수상 소식을 전하며 그녀의 작품에 대한 찬사를 아끼지 않았는데요. 뉴욕타임즈, BBC, 르몽드 등 세계 언론들은 한강 작가의 노벨문학상 수상이 단순히 아시아 문학을 넘어 전 세계 문학의 새로운 시각을 제시했다고 평가하고 있습니다. 또한 독일의 공영국제방송인 DW 뉴스에서는 노벨문학상을 수상한 한강 작가의 수상 의미에 대해 다음과 같이 보도했습니다. 함께 들어보시죠.
The Nobel Prize for Literature has been awarded to the South Korean author Kang for her, and I quote here, intense poetic prose. That's according to the Nobel Committee. Now, out of 120 laureates in the literature category, Kang is the 18th woman to win the award. And my colleague Matthias Fricke from DW Culture joins me now to tell us more about the winner of this year's award. So first of all, Matthias, how much of a surprise was this? For starters, it's a woman, isn't it? So,
well, yeah. As far as you can see, the Academy has often been accused of being too Eurocentric, male Eurocentric. I mean, out of 120 winners, there were only 17 women so far.
Now there's 18.
And now it's 18, so they really try, and they've also been too Eurocentric. Therefore, it's not a surprise that they chose someone from Asia, a woman from Asia, a young woman. Well, she's born in 1970, so it's a choice that makes sense as far as the Academy works. But so far, it was unexpected because you have all these big names. You have Murakami, you have Salman Rushdie, you have loads of big names on the. They're always bettered like this. And there's a Chinese author, and she was on the top of the bookings this year, but she didn't make it. So it's a surprise after all.
And you mentioned, didn't you, that the Nobel Academy is often accused of being too Eurocentric. Obviously, this time they've gone in a different direction. Is that seen as a good thing, you think?
Yes, I think so, because I think there's a time for change for them. In the last 20 years, there were 8 women. And if you look at the top 5 countries that were chosen, so far it was Britain, well, it's France first, then you have the United States of America, you have Germany, you have Sweden, but all the other continents, you only have 6 people from Africa, you only have 1 Arab writer, only 2 Chinese so far. And of course, it's as a matter of fact, they have to change. They had this big scandal in 2018. Well, it was clear they had a Me Too scandal, and they decided, well, we're going to open up. But it's really difficult because loads of the literature is not translated that much. Kang, she's written a very famous novel in 2016. It was got the Man Booker Prize, and it's about a young she's an graphic artist, and she decided not to eat anymore, no meat. And therefore, there was a lot of turmoil in the family and whatever. A lot of things happened after her decision. And even in South Korea at the beginning, they said, well, this is too extreme. But she got some prizes there. She got a big prize with the Man Booker Award in 2016. So you can see this is a person that changes the attitudes of people. And it's a younger Asian author. And so you can see the Academy wants to change.
Just tell me a little bit about what happens. I mean, what's the meaning of, or the effect of winning a prize like this? I mean, what's going to happen with her now?
Ooh, well, we're all going to read her after all.
So more exposure.
There's more exposure, definitely.
프랑스 24 역시 한강 작가의 노벨문학상 수상 소식에 대해 전했는데요. 노벨문학상 수상 전부터 이미 그들은 한강 작가를 한국의 해밍웨이라고 부르고 있었다고 합니다. 함께 들어보시죠.
Well, the Nobel Prize in Literature has just been awarded to a South Korean author, Kang. The committee gave her the prize for what it called her intense poetic prose that confronts historical trauma and exposes the fragility of human life. The 53-year-old author wrote the 2016 International Booker Prize winner, The Vegetarian. Now, in that unsettling novel, a woman's decision to stop eating meat has devastating consequences.
The Nobel Prize in Literature for 2024 is awarded to South Korean author Kang for her intense poetic prose that confronts historical traumas and exposes the fragility of human life. I was able to talk to Kang on the phone. She was having an ordinary day, it seems, had just finished supper with her son. She wasn't really prepared for this, but we have begun to discuss preparations for December. We look very much forward to meeting her here then.
We're going to talk more about this year's Nobel Prize for Literature winner with Audrey Chapry, who's the executive director of the American Library in Paris. Audrey, thanks for coming on the show. First of all, tell us a bit more about Kang, for those of us who don't know her so well.
Well, her work is really part of a grand South Korean tradition. Her prose style is very tightly controlled, almost brutal. There's a little bit of violence to it. One of my colleagues described her as the South Korean female Hemingway, who also won in the 50s. She's also in the tradition of writers writing about the female experience, the female body. She reminds me a bit of Otessa Moshfegh, in that it is quite violent and dark, but in some ways she's also a poet. Every word is precisely placed, and her work is quite short. So I believe she's written over 15 books, but only 4 full-length novels. What's really wonderful and surprising is that she already has international acclaim for many different generations. She went viral on Book Talk a few years ago. So the library's already stocked with many copies of her books, so people can discover her through our collections.
And she's already been awarded. I mean, she has recognition from other international awards like the Booker Prize.
Yes, the Man Booker International Prize. So most of her works have been translated. So that's why it's particularly exciting that she has critical acclaim, she has popular acclaim, she has social media acclaim. So it's quite rare for someone to be honored at this stage in their career. She's at the height of her prowess and her work, but the fact that she has that popularity, and I think she's just going to continue to rise.
So here we have a 53-year-old author from South Korea, a woman. I mean, is that very different from the typical Nobel Literature winner?
I would say since the 70s, they've been really opening up the narratives that they've been exploring. So we're seeing more women, we're seeing more non-Western writers, we're seeing people who are not writing originally in English. But she's someone who already has a bit of a claim in the wider world. I think we'll continue to see that opening up and shining a light on marginalized voices and new world literatures.
And how much does winning a Nobel help an author?
Hugely influential. I don't need to talk about the monetary impact. The award is one of the most lucrative. So already that's very practically helpful for writers who need that support. Beyond that, it opens up a world of possibilities. More translations, more editions, more adaptations, more renowned. And beyond that, it solidifies their place in the literary canon.